Hi, I'm Kiran Trace. Thanks for joining us today. Today, as promised, we're looking at the good old belief system, not safe. This little bugger is behind so many challenges in our lives, and quite often is very invisible, like a little no-see-um constantly biting us. So let's get into it today and unpack and decode what's going on. Hi, I'm Kiran Trace. Welcome to Humans Decoded, a story of hobbits, fairies, elves, dwarfs, gnomes, and humans. If you get lost at any point, there is a deep dive on all the different avatars in episode 1. It includes notes. Thank you for joining us in a fun little chat about the vast potential of our human makeup. Hi, Leela. Hi, Cammie.
Hello.
Hi.
So actually this week for me, I feel like I can relax back a little bit because I have so much don't belong running that it didn't leave much room for not safe, at least in this lifetime.
Yeah, this is my week. This is definitely Kiran steps up. Not safe is 100% my belief system with juicy and huge amounts of injustice to bookend it on either end.
Nice. The mighty duo.
Yeah. So I will shine the light on it all for you guys because this is mine to wrestle with.
But before we get into that one, we received some love from our listeners and questions that Cammie has prepared for us.
Yeah, we've had some lovely feedback from our Facebook decoders. Somebody wrote in after listening to the morality episode, and they just had some lovely words to share. And I'll just share a snippet. They said, "No maps, no rules, nothing to measure against. How freeing, right? It was this beautiful insight that when we're fully here right now, rules aren't needed."
It's so delicious. I love that reframe because, yeah, when we're very present and just deeply connected, which again, this is something each of us are built out for. You're born with this ability. We don't need a set of rules. We just have this moment and this deep listening, and the moment unfolds itself, as we talk about all the time. There's so little to do with you, capital Y-O-U. The baggage, all the extras, all the, all the layers, like in reality, it doesn't have to be part of the play.
We absolutely love hearing how the episodes impact you. So please keep writing. It's such a joy to read. So we also had some questions come in about the episode 2 weeks ago on finding our yes inside of a group. So Julia wrote in and she asks, "Every holiday, the family gets together, and every meal, the TV in the living room is left on so that the men in the family can watch the game. My personal yes would be to have a family meal without the distraction of the game. However, since it's a group situation and it's not my house, I feel that voicing my yes would not be heard or received well. How do you deal with a situation where you are outnumbered and other people's yeses are going to trump your yes? Do I really have a right to voice any kind of objection, even if it's framed as a yes?"
My initial response to that would be, are you sure you want to be there? Like, is going at all? Is that your true yes? Or is it like in parts a yes, but the group setting isn't it? Like,
yeah, because she talks about voicing her objection, but where's the true yes?
Yes. Yeah. And it's not like voicing your yes isn't like making a situation that isn't your actual yes into your yes, like contorting it so that it kind of fits.
Exactly.
It's very different.
Exactly.
And from, I don't know, my experience, our experience, like rarely are these big gatherings hell yes, right?
True that. So it's a great opportunity to really tune in to see what is your yes.
And maybe it could be just dropping in for the dessert. You know, what, like maybe that scenario is really heavy on your system and actually just dessert is plenty.
I love it. So the first step, hun, is really just listening to what is the yes. And it may be something like a fire at home and ordering from your favorite restaurant and watching a lovely holiday movie. It might be curled up in bed and just having an extra evening of just napping. I mean, it could be, playing sports with friends or bowling, you and your best friend. Like, where's the true yes is that first step of it. And it's so simple to confuse the story with like obligations, like, or this like, but it's my whole family and it's the only time that we all get together, but I never see my little cousins. And it's like, well, maybe you could take your little cousins out for a movie next week, or maybe you could spend the year visiting the key people you really enjoy for lunch, so resist the temptation to try to use the yes as a control tactic to control the situation.
That could be a little movement of sneaky, not safe, right? That control tactic.
And there's kind of a minefield of it. That's why we're sort of lenient. It's like, do I even have a right to voice my obligation? I mean, we can hear that. It's like, oh, that is already in your whole system is a little minefield of like, I don't have a right. Obligations are not welcome. It's not my house. I'm not hosting it. Am I allowed a voice? And if I was just answering this very simple, I'd be like, well, when the invitation came, you could say something as simple as like, I really love eating together, but I hate that the game's on the whole time. Is there an option that there's no game while we eat? There's a million ways because in reality, you have a voice. In reality, your voice is welcome to you. There's not a Miss Manners etiquette guide. And there's only you hearing yourself. And, it really changes the whole game when that starts. And it might be that Thanksgiving isn't anything to you at all. It's a non-event, and maybe you'd like to work and get double time or triple time, and then the time that is available to you, like, I don't know, and then go to Hawaii for a long weekend in December. I don't know. Like, what's your yes? And it will change the whole game. But the only person who needs to hear it is you ultimately. And you are allowed to voice it whenever, but no one's we're not staking a claim that everyone needs to hear my voice. As I mentioned in my example, 2 weeks ago, I talked about how nobody heard me a number of times, there's no guarantee and no promise in existence that others will hear you. The job is for you to hear you. And I think, this is a really good segue to like the not safe. Like, is it safe to voice my opinion? Is it safe to have an opinion? Is it safe to step away from a holiday event? Is it safe to offend my family? Is it safe to offend a friend? Like, there's so many little, Post-it notes from not safe embedded in your system. And being an expert in not safe, because people, let me tell you, listen. My very violent, horrible childhood and my life experiences are such a beautiful blazing mirror of not safe. So it's everywhere for me, but it's such a beautiful example too of like, it's such an illusion. There's no reality. So we'll start the conversation in that, and hopefully we'll end it there too. But like in the beginning, we can say these belief systems are illusionary. There is no reality to it. And most of humanity has an expectation of humanity as an unsafe place. And so this is like a invisible pass by the whole community. It's just known. It's known. It's not safe here. And it's actually an illusion. If it's just this one infinite field, the one infinite field isn't harming itself. It's creating an illusion that appears to be harm. And that's like my life. It appears like a ritualistic, violent household. It appears to be an enormous amount of abuse. Also, P.S., should we stick a trigger warning here?
Yeah.
Trigger warning for people. We're talking about not safe people. We're going to talk about gory things. So the sensitive among you, feel free to fast forward the little pieces if you feel yourself getting triggered. We certainly don't intend for that. Okay. Under the intention of decoding, that's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Not safe is a code that we forget to see as a code. We forget to see it's just an illusionary sequence, like this belief. And we think it exists in reality. And then we point to these external situations and say, proof, 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 proof. But it's not proof. It's not proof. It's pointing to an illusion.
And usually not safe mirrors as some issue in your body or of your health. And that seems to be so true. Like last week, we talked about how true it seems, this whole money story and the lack of the money. And I think when it comes to the body, that might have an even deeper ring. Like it's still illusion, but it might even deeper feel like, oh, it must absolutely be true. And
yeah,
you
so
have such
those
a beautiful
of you,
example.
Yeah, if you haven't been following, the cliff notes are, if you're having money issues in your life, chances are there's a core belief system of unworthy in there. And if you have any kind of health considerations, health concerns, health stuff, chronic or even subtle, chances are you have a belief system of not safe. And this is just a general how they tend to appear in our world. So I'm not always in thriving health. For instance, in this moment, I have to keep my head up because on Sunday I got a nosebleed. I had a nosebleed. I haven't had one since I was a child. It was sort of new, but it wouldn't clot. And it was like after about 30 minutes, you do need to like go to a hospital to get some support with the clot. And so we went to the hospital. It's late Sunday night. So it's definitely the B team, if not the C team at the hospital. And it is a hilarious, like farcical dramedy of just incompetency from the administration on. Like they admin you and they ask your name and stuff, but I am pouring blood. It's spilling everywhere. And at the hospital, I just wanted this solution. I just wanted them to cauterize it and then I could go home. But they didn't want to. And they have a whole bunch of steps. And, so they got to do all these things first. And each of the steps take a lot of time. And all of this is just like a mirror of like, at any point here, Kiran, are you unsafe? Mm-hmm. And I wasn't. I was like, I'm here for a solution. But I promise you, not safe wasn't triggered. What was triggered was like, can we get to a solution, people? Mm-hmm. And now here's what's part of the circus is they kept projecting on me that I was unsafe. So every now and then this totally incompetent doctor, good Lord, she would come in and she'd be like, oh, it's so uncomfortable. I know you're in pain. I know it's uncomfortable. I am not uncomfortable because it's a nosebleed, for Christ's sakes. Like, I'm not bursting an appendix here. I'm not passing a kidney stone. Like, it's a nosebleed. I'm uncomfortable because y'all have no care here. like I'd love to sit in a comfortable chair. I'd love to actually have some proper mats around me so there's blood not spilling everywhere. I'd love to have my nose cauterized so that I'm not pouring blood for the second, third hour. In the end, they did cauterize it. It's a happy ending. It took all of 6.5 minutes and was completely painless and effortless. Yay for the win. Anyway, the point is, the whole movement was an intelligent movement. But I just moved here to this area and I had not yet turned my attention to the healthcare scenarios and getting myself set up with a new primary doctor, and a new sort of system and what hospitals and stuff. Anyways, got a real wake up call that this community has got some major, major problems and major gaps in healthcare. And so that's great. It's a great intelligence that's like, okay, I'm going to have to, put that on the list. And when it's alive and delicious, it's going to actually take some dreaming and some awareness and some beautiful, solutions here to get the quality of healthcare that.
But worth pointing out is that the wake up call to look at all this isn't coming from Not Safe. It's a true movement. Like you said, Not Safe wasn't the one, picturing
Poking
this
me.
whole thing.
No.
Yeah.
No, life put this up underfoot. And now I can see the whole thing as a lot of drama because there was a lot of drama. But the drama was the incompatibility of me and a really terrible system. Like I run with such efficiency and effectivity, meeting such incompetency. It's a real clash. And that's life saying, hey, there's a real potential here for clash. And if you were in a real problem, like in a burst appendix or a kidney stone, you are going to need some supports in this community that you haven't thought about, So the whole situation is actually lots of opportunity is here. And I'm literally just out of it. And I like to say to people, like, give it a week or give it a month before you understand the intelligence. And honestly, it could be even a year. And then you're like, holy shit, that was so intelligent, So I'm like 24 hours out, still keep my nose in the air to try to keep that cauterization clean. But let's talk about how Not Safe can play, because that was life in this weird place. And there wasn't a lot of Not Safe, but Not Safe came in after. So in the last 12 hours since it's happened, oh my God, I don't want my nose to bleed again. I don't want to have to go back to that incompetent room of fools. Like, Not Safe is popping up every 10 minutes. And it's my job to pierce that and be like, okay, what's true? Because I don't get to harness all the intelligence of what just happened unless I'm in a clear space, letting the clarity keep moving itself through. So I have to keep piercing that story and listen, does my body want to sleep? Well, actually, the first night it didn't. And that was beautiful. And I propped myself up really beautifully and listened to some sweet audiobooks. But then by the next morning, it did. And it was like, okay, then how does my body want to be supported so that I can heal and sleep? And there are solutions for all. And I had a huge work day and lots of stuff going on, but it was like, no, that's just not available. And I had to make some big communication statements. But Not Safe will do a couple things, right? She will keep popping up and making just simple things really complicated. But the other thing she can do is you can listen to what's delicious, propping myself up while I heal, whatever. And she will sour it, she will contort. And so she's riding on top of what's true and giving it this sour, ugly, dead, empty feeling because it's not in her control. And that's a tricky place to be.
And and I find that's to discern what's what there. That's not easy because Not Safe can mask as, I don't know. I don't want to go, random example. I don't want to go sleep at my friend's place. That's not delicious, but that's not true. It's Not Safe saying it's not delicious.
And you can be there, you can be at your friend's house in the middle of the sleepover and it's been fun. And then suddenly you're like, oh, I got to go. I hate this. I hate it here. I hate everybody. This is awful, And then it's it takes some time. You got to take some time. And by time it could be 2 minutes to 30 minutes to hear, is that just Not Safe triggered? And she's souring everything and making it feel dead and lifeless. Or is the situation now dead and lifeless? And so we, at the end of the year semester, the last course we take is called the Course in Fearlessness. And we focus primarily on this. And we have a way of calling it orange when this belief system, not safe in this example, is coloring everything to feel like awful. And, or is the situation out of alignment? And there actually is a really big difference. And if we settle in, we can usually find it, because like, I want to buy this great pair of new jeans and I go to the store, but it feels yucky. I mean, it's fine. I mean, it's like, great. I found a great packing spot and there was a sale and I like these jeans, but the whole thing just feels like uncomfortable and I wasn't happy and it didn't have that fulfillment feeling, Kiran. And I think I need to take these jeans back, and it's like, I just wonder if the jeans are out of your comfort zone. Not safe doesn't know herself wearing those fancy ass jeans. And so you just got a big bunch of not safe flying around here, stealing your joy.
And you're saying when we settle in, we can find what's what. And by settling in, you mean coming to the moment, coming to awareness,
the body,
be in the body.
One of the things you're looking at is that habitual stuff. So one of the things we've said is if you've got health issues, 9 times out of 10, but really I want to tell you 10 times out of 10, the root belief system is not safe under there. So if the situation is like, oh, I suddenly have a cramp, I suddenly have a stomach ache, and that's habitual for you. I have a cold, I have a migraine, I have a, chances are that's our not safe, like wiggling in there and creating this sort of illusionary illness to get you off the edge because you were just about to go beyond her comfort zone. But it can also be just like people, interactions, public corridors. Is there habitual ways that you respond? Do you get a day off and every day off you're like, if I don't have 100 things planned, I don't know, then I must be not safe, Mm-hmm. And so then to wake up on a day off with what was truly delicious was just movies, jammies, and I don't know. And you're finding it really uncomfortable and yucky because it's not safe. When I used to go to bed in my old life, I had these huge rituals to go to bed. Like I had to floss my teeth, brush my teeth, all my skincare regime, have my supports, like some melatonin and some water and a protein shake in case I get hungry in the night and like, so that going to bed was such an effort. And that was all not safe, putting this ritual in place in order to be safe to go unconscious, And it's a really typical way that it shows up. Like you have to be like this, or it has to be like that, or I need to have whatever. My house has to be clean, germs. It's a really, really common one of like, oh, I can't handle any germs and I can't handle any, it has to be like, it has to smell clean and look clean. Like this is all not safe. Running the show with this false narrative. And, we've talked about this in the Not Good Enough. They ironically move themselves towards that direction. Like sometimes we can use so many things to, let's, for instance, clean our house because it's not safe to be not clean, or it's not safe to handle raw meat, or it's not safe to cook not meat, or it's not safe to whatever, that we end up driving ourselves right into really precarious situations that wouldn't otherwise be. And so for me, it was often like I was a huge insomniac. And so then here's all these rituals that start a wrestling game, and start this effort before bed, usually creating a place where I'm not really ready to wind down and go to sleep because it was a lot of work to get here.
Lots of preparation.
So much preparation. I'm exhausted, but not like sleep exhausted, but like now I need to rest before I go to bed. We just create the very thing that we're afraid of, as always.
Yeah.
So, and lots of times I think that not safe, because our society in our communities tend to not see it as an illusion, but it's a given. It can be so blind, and lots of people are like so blind, like they just don't see it. They just don't see it. They just don't see it. And I've worked with many students, even in my private practice. I'm thinking of one in particular, and he just couldn't see it. I would point it and point it and point it, and he would just bounce and bounce and bounce. And we'd have to work on where he was at. But the challenges in her life were absolutely a result of this belief system. But then when he was ready to see it, and I think that this is just very common, we crack that blindness, we crack the numbness and it cracks open. There's often this shock of this tirade of not safe. And it's kind of like, I don't know, let's say you're just standing on the sidewalk and then not safe, you suddenly hear the voice. Like you could never hear it before. You were acting from it, but you couldn't hear it before. And now you can hear it. And the voice is like, that person could have a gun. They could shoot me. Nobody would know I was dead. I would land here all by myself. And then I would smash my head and my head would smash open and then my brains would fall out and then I'd be dead. And then like this sort of like really intense monologue, like every 30 seconds going off with these very bizarre, untrue stories. And it cracks and this starts to peel out. And after a few months of like clearing through this stuff, healing through this stuff, like dissolving off these layers, we find ourselves like much less gravitating towards true crime novels or TV shows or podcasts. And much less, like horror movies or dark movies or challenging movies, which, sidebar, if you find yourself really drawn to that kind of storytelling, it's not safe under there. That's not safe going to the movies. She's just like, num, 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 num. Let's get the popcorn. Let's listen to this popcorn podcast. I can't wait. Because when she starts clearing out, that stuff naturally falls away. You're just not interested. Not safe has so much to say about every single interaction. And it's particularly true about parenting. It's particularly true about health conditions. It's particularly true about a little fascination with crime and murder mysteries. My beautiful grandmother, who was a human avatar, loved herself a murder mystery, but man, did she have a lot of not safe run-in that she was totally blind to. So not safe is an illusion. It's not real. And what is real? And this is going to be radical, decoders, but you check and see, is that it's illusionary. And in fact, there's just great intelligence occurring. And for a lot of you guys that bounce off of not safe or bounce off of injustice, you won't see it. You'll be like, how dare you? I'm not listening to you. Unsubscribe.
Yeah, don't touch my routines. They're necessary.
Don't question my stuff. Yeah. I think it's so beautiful, though, to bring the awareness to the illusion, because what's underneath is such an incredible support system from life. And every moment is providing so much intelligence.
Yeah, I mean, it was 2 summers ago, I think, that I saw that I had this shock of like seeing how much not safe was there at play. And since then, so much of it has cleared. And I mean, the abundance of wellness, the abundance of well-being, of health in the body, that, I mean, it was already pretty high before that. But I don't know, like the levels that have opened up now, like to go on massive hikes. I never would have thought that that's, something a Leela does, but she does it, and it's pure fulfillment and unimaginable to little not safe,
I've also had this experience of noticing like how much not safe lives in my body. So I don't hear it as a mental stream so much, but when I have I often have sessions with Leela, and we always just bring safety into the pelvis. And every single time, it's such a homecoming. And it's almost like the body, it just wants to hear that so much, that there's safety, that there's an abundance of well-being. Like, it's such a sweet nourishment to really like feel and land that in the body.
Yeah. Often in the first course, we take the embodiment class, which can be a very challenging course for some people. In some ways, it's one of the hardest. But in the end, we land with this, like, it's safe to come into the body. It's actually safe to be here. And something really does change when we start landing in the body and letting it be home for us. But that not safe. She shapeshifts, hey? She shapeshifts, and she's a subtle player. And in part, it's because our system endorses it. We're in an agreement that there's going to be something that's not safe here. And that's tricky.
But things that support the body in landing in pure safety can be luxurious pajamas, can be the softest slippers. And it just so happens that we have the place for you to get these things, right?
Avatar Marketplace is live, you all. It's such a funny journey, because many times I question, like, why am I putting up a marketplace, for Christ's sake? I'm a non-dual teacher. But it's been a true, delicious joy and love. And we've launched with this sort of gift guide for the season, the holidays. There's a lot of PJs, a lot of slippers, a lot of robes and little jewelry trinkets, things that would be gifts for Christmas. So we put out about 30 items per avatar in the marketplace, and we'll link below, but also make sure you're on the newsletter, because there's details there. And we specifically chose these really beautiful, handcrafted, very, very high quality, beautifully made. Some of them are just like even one-offs from small factories, but they're collaborations with either a larger department store or a larger organization, so that we can have international shipping, so that no matter where you are in the world, you can access these products. So there's a great play there for you guys.
Oh, they're so yummy. And I've been through the fairy shelf where you get all the products for fairies, and I pretty much own 60% of them already. But I still found things that I'm like, yep, I want it in that color. But then I also found stuff in the gnome shelf and the elf shelf. They're just like real objects of desire. They're so yummy.
Yeah, same for me. Like, don't stick to your own avatar. Look at everything, because all of it is gorgeous and beautiful, and you might be surprised that you actually like the dwarf boots.
Yeah, just because you're an elf doesn't mean that a dwarf can't inspire you, and you could find that utilitarian practicality very useful, or that fairy sparkle really delicious. So enjoy.
I mean, the fairy cosmetics. Come on, I want them all. Obviously.
Okay, we'll see you guys here next week. Lots of love.
It's been a joy, decoders. Till next time.
Thank you for listening. We obviously love hearing what you think. Your feedback helps us make a better show for you to listen to. So feel free to comment, and you can do it at Facebook, which is the Humans Decoded podcast. And if you're not on social, you can always email any questions to us at outreach@kirantrace.com. And thanks for listening. We love you.